You don't have to leave. You want if you need to.
Hi there, Sean. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hello.
We got Alejandro, Jerry, and John Morthaler on. We will get started here with Alejandro. Alejandro?
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great to talk to you. Tough last night, besides Boxall's header, it would be a bit tough to just like think about moments in the game where you guys were being dangerous or just like aspiring, being good enough to aspire to win it. What would you say were the things tonight that you had planned for the team that just didn't work out tonight?
Yeah. We've come here in the past and, played with, a normal sort of 4-2-3-1 situation. Our wide players are being forced back where you end up playing with 6 defenders. So we made a decision to play more of a 4-3-3 and 3 midfield players. So defend with 7 really, and have 3 forward players in Franco, Fragapane, Reynoso, and Pukki, and play them more centrally, and because we know it's a one-off win all game, and we didn't really get hold of the ball as well as what I thought. And to be fair to them, they got down the outsides of it, and we're dangerous when they switch the play.
Jerry, go ahead.
You guys almost had made a tradition out of getting to the playoffs 4 years in a row. What does it feel like? And your thoughts not getting there this time?
Yeah, disappointed. Like, really disappointed. All the players really disappointed. I feel for them. We had, a high of the last game, and we went into this one feeling as if we could, what would be an upset because we've never won here before. And we thought we'd have a good chance of going for it. And there were spells in the game where, we kept possession and we got through the middle of them, but then that final pass wasn't there. And then, in the second half, I was pleased that the players, didn't give up and kept going, kept trying to get a goal. The third goal, obviously, is a little bit of a mishap, fluke type goal, but they still kept going after that. And I was not disappointed with the effort they gave. I just thought that we probably needed to do a little bit more to win the game.
John?
The 2 goals in the first half looked like they sort of came from defensive breakdowns. What did you see on those goals?
Yeah, well, we spoke about Johnny Russell. When he's on that right-hand side, he wants to cut in. We said all the time, keep him outside and take him to his right foot. And, he skilled up Jan and brought the ball inside. And then it's really difficult because the goal looks a lot bigger when he brings it inside because he's on his strong left foot. And then the second one, we probably should have tracked the runners a little bit more. I remember that, Boxer got dragged out because he went tight. We wanted to keep that pressure on them. So Boxer went and provided pressure, which then Mickey had to come across and cover. And then they ran into the huge gap that got left. But I would have expected, that runner to be tracked.
Alejandro?
Yeah, Sean, after the first half, it seemed like the team needed a bit of a push offensively. What do you think went into the decision of bringing in Curvin and DJ at halftime and bringing in Bongi around the 66th minute instead of just like bringing in more of a technical player in the halftime as well?
Yeah, I wanted to get the fullbacks higher up the pitch, which I thought they did. Bakai on one side and DJ on the other. So I wanted to play more attacking from the fullback areas, so get them further up the pitch. I was thinking maybe about Joe as well, but I thought Bakai did a great job, in terms of his attacking threat. Got crosses in. And then Curvin, obviously, back from injury, we knew we'd get something out of Curvin because he's always a threat to the opposition. And I just thought that we needed to change. You can't keep doing the same thing. So we wanted to change the personnel. And then, I was always planning on bringing Bongi on. He had a tough travel schedule. So I was always planning that to happen. I was hoping to bring him on in a better position. But again, he came on and there was a couple of moments where he provided a threat. And, a couple of counter-attack moments where you think, he had a chance, to get us back into the game. But maybe his legs weren't there. And, in the end, it ran out where, we got the last goal, but we ran out of time.
Jerry?
Was the decision not to start Bongi merely tactical, or did it have anything to do with how he felt after traveling all that distance?
I think it was how he felt. I spoke with him. He had a tough schedule, traveling in from Africa, then I think it was into Paris, and then back into Minneapolis. Whereas the other two, I started because they just came direct straight from Europe, and and I'd worked with Fragapani and Ray in training, so I thought, they've got that relationship, and and having a talent like Bongi to bring off the bench, I thought would be good for us. Like I said, that the scoreline tonight didn't help bringing Bongi on in that sort of environment, because I would have preferred it to have been even or up, so he could come on and cause more of a threat. But it was more of his travel schedule and the fact that I thought he could provide us something from the bench.
John?
Did you give any consideration to sort of going for broke and throwing out a bunch of forward players at the end?
Yeah. I mean, in the end, we were playing with three forwards. I told Hassani Dawson to push further forward. I wanted Curvin to play higher. The two fullbacks I wanted to play as high as they could. The difficulty sometimes when you play with too many centre forwards on is that they get in each other's space, and it's difficult then for them to make runs. And so I think we could have maybe took a midfield player off and put another striker on, but then we don't have anybody to get the ball to him. So it was basically trying to get as many goal scoring threats on as we could. The only other thing maybe I could have done is maybe like I said, take off a defender and put an extra striker on and play a little bit more direct. But we'd not been working on that. We'd been working on trying to play through the middle, and then obviously second half pushing the fullbacks further out to get crosses in.
Alejandro?
At the end of the game, typically when coaches shake hands and all, we saw Peter Vermeer stop a bit longer than usual and said something to you. If you don't mind me asking, what was exactly that he said?
He just said, let's come in and have a drink with us after the game, and I said, yeah, no problem. And I'll go and see him and wish his team all the best. And I do think that, now they've got all the players back healthy, they are going to be a threat to anybody they play, and they've got a chance of winning the whole thing, because that's sometimes what happens. Momentum takes you into situations where you do have a chance. I thought we might have had that momentum if we'd have won tonight. I thought, that could have been with us and we would have had a chance to have a run at it. But they've got a good squad. They've got everybody back healthy. So I'll be saying to him when I see him that, all the best and, make a run for it.
All right, we'll go Jerry here and then time for a few more for Sean. Jerry?
I know you were head coach for only 2 games, but you've been here 3-4 years. Just looking back quickly here, how would you assess the season?
We've not done well enough at home. That's the I would say the overall assessment. In MLS you need to win more home games, and we've not done that. And that's on us. That's on the team, the staff, everybody that's involved. And we've probably given up too many winning positions to dropping points, and that's something obviously that next season we need to be a lot stronger in them areas. We need to be stronger at home. We need to be stronger when we're winning to see games out.
Alejandro?
Sean, Jerry, sorry, just mentioned how this is your 4th season and you just finished with the Loons. When you think about the changes that are coming in the club in the upcoming weeks or months, even, where do you see yourself? Sorry, in all of it.
That's not for me. I'd like to see myself in any position. That's the nature of this business is you don't know from one day to the next. A really, really successful manager that I know said to me, plan for 10 years and don't be surprised if it ends in 10 minutes.
John Marthaler, take us home.
Does this feel like the end of an era for this club?
I would say instead of an end, start of a new one. The club's got to move on, and that's just the nature of the beast. It's obviously going to be quite exciting for the club to get all the situation sorted out, what they want to do and what they want to achieve. And and that's the same for the players. Some of the players will leave and take other clubs, and then the ones that come back, after returning, put the shirt on, play for the shirt, and make sure that they don't sit at the end of the season saying, "I can't believe all them other teams got in and we didn't."
All right. Thank you so much for the time tonight, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will have midfielder Wil Trapp shortly.
Good.
Hey, Will, appreciate you taking the time here this evening.
Yep.
We've got John Morthaler, Jerry Zagota, and Alejandro Romero here on the Zoom, and we'll get started with John. John, go for it.
How would you describe the mood in the locker room after that one?
Yeah, John. Ending a season's never easy. I think the boys we're disappointed, right? It's reality. At the same time, though, I think there was no quit in the group at the end. That you can always take some positives from that. But yeah, disappointment, of course. Just in the way that the game went. I think first 30 minutes we felt pretty good about it. Conceding the back-to-back goals in 2 minutes was certainly a more difficult way to go about the game. But yeah, no one quit, which I'm super proud of the boys for that.
Jerry?
How did the change of the shape and a little bit of the personnel affect things?
Yeah, I think the idea that we worked on was trying to overload the middle of the field with Fraga and Ray sitting in around their number 6. Hassani and Jan, or in this case, Curvin as well in the second half. Just trying to create some space in the center to overload. At times it worked. I think we were a little negligent at times with possession and just easy giveaways that hurt us in transition. But for the most part, I thought you want to get your best players on the ball, guys like Ray, guys like Fraga, in those pockets. And I thought for the better half of the first half, we did a decent job of it. But yeah, the concession of the 2 goals really made it more challenging now to have to open up, given our fullbacks who weren't the most attacking in the first half, right? Like Zarek and Bakai are certainly great possession players, but when it comes to attacking, it's not necessarily them flying up and down. So that made more sense for the second half of having to push a little bit more with DJ in.
Alejandro?
Well, this game just ended, probably your last game with your current Minnesota contract. We still hear your voice right now and still hear some sense of leadership. And Box already said that he wanted to say, what do you think your goals for this offseason and maybe your expectations with the club or anywhere you go?
Look, I think, Alejandro, it's a really interesting time for the club, an inflection point for what will be a new coach, a new general manager coming in, and who knows what those plans look like, right? For me, professional sports is always ever changing. You just try to prepare yourself for whatever comes next. But the offseason goals are obviously rest a little bit, but then get back to training and getting fit for whatever opportunity comes.
John?
You mentioned the firings and the departures. Is this an end of an era for Minnesota United?
I mean, naturally, yes. I mean, Adrian and Mark were here for a long time. Adrian's the entire time in MLS. So that era is ended, right? So whatever comes next is the next iteration. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the club to take the next step and see what they can do and what we can achieve.
Jerry?
Any thoughts on what you think this team needs in the next coach?
Right now, Jerry, I don't know, to be honest. I think what I can speak on is how much the boys responded to Sean in these last 2 games. I thought he did an amazing job coming into a difficult situation to rally the troops, to get guys doing what they're best at. And that was a really impressive thing for me to see in a manager coming into an interim role. So I can't speak about what's next, but what I can say is I commend the club and Sean in particular, his staff for taking this opportunity very seriously and trying to best prepare the guys for what were 2 finals in the case of the LA Galaxy and then this game.
You expect to be back?
I would love to.
Alejandro?
Sean just mentioned a bit of how these last 2 weeks with no games or MLS games specifically played out and the way you guys planned out this game specifically. Some of the international players being with their national teams and then coming back a bit later in the week and having to deal with that. Even though you guys didn't get the result tonight, what do you think the last 2 weeks represented for you guys and you can rescue off to maybe just like extend in the next season and just start bring out good energy for the next season?
Yeah, it's a good one, Alejandro. I think the things we can take away from the past 2 weeks are when we're a group culminating and working toward a common goal, there's a lightness and an energy and a quality to the group that I truly love. And I think whoever comes next, a big step for them will be just tapping into that. There's tons of quality here. It's just how can we pull the group together to be firing all cylinders as many times as possible throughout a 34 game season. And I think these last 3 weeks, we started to see different pictures in training, different pictures in the game. And as a footballer, as a soccer player, you want to be challenged. And I think that was a really good measuring stick and fun thing to see as a player and as a teammate, guys having to sort through new problems, having to learn, having to grow, even in a short amount of time. So that was a huge positive for me of what the potential and the capacity of our group is and what's possible.
All right, we've got time for just 2 more here, so we'll go to Jerry and then John Marthaler. Jerry?
Given the circumstances of the game, does it make it, when you get down like that with 2 quick goals, does it make it even more daunting knowing you need to score 3 now because you can't play for a draw?
No, because they can't tie the game either, Jerry. So the idea is, and this was our message coming out of halftime, is just stay in the game as long as possible. We've been on the other side where you're up 2-0 and then the team scores and then it's 2-1 and then maybe 2-2 and anything can happen in this last minute. So the third goal will certainly hurt us. But at 2-0, the biggest thing we were reiterating to ourselves was stay disciplined, keep the plan, and just stay in the game and keep working what we had trained. And I think that's a calming thing for guys. That's a very consumable message to feel on the field because it's really easy to get ahead of yourself as the game unravels at 2-0, or it can unravel at 2-0. So giving guys anchors of just like keep the status quo. We're not going to win the game in the 52nd minute, right? So I appreciated that from Sean and from the staff, really pushing that message.
All right, last one here from John Marthaler. John?
If this was your last time in a Minnesota United jersey, how do you want the fans to remember you?
Look, John, I think for me, I want to be just looked at as someone who tried to make their teammates better, who tried to contribute to this club and this community as much as possible. And whether that means we're here or not, I'm not going to speak too much to that. But for me, I always try to lead by example. I try to be a guy that works hard, that sacrifices for the team and tries to serve others. So ultimately, that's all that we can leave as a legacy, whether we're in the same place or we go somewhere else.
All right. As always, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much. Safe travels home.
Yep. Thanks, Chance.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
Yep.
To hear, Will.
All right. And that will conclude tonight's post-game press conference. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. Goodbye.
Thanks, Eric.